Welcome to this week's Salt AI video newsletter, where I try to cover all of what's new in AI, ComfyUI, and all things related to Salt. It is quite a task because, man, every week do we have new things coming out constantly. This week, we've got big news. Models released from Stability AI, Google, Mistral, OpenAI, Cohere, Anthropic, and that's just the start. Starting at the top of the list, Google released Gemini 1.5 Pro and made it available in 180 countries. It has native audio and video understanding, and the capabilities that unleashes are immense. One good example of this is from Ethan Mollick, a professor at Wharton, showing that Gemini 1.5 can be given a video of somebody playing a game and can use that video to understand the core gameplay loop. Here you can see it breaks down the game into what kind of game it is, similar to poker, talks about several elements that are unique to this game compared to traditional poker, and includes that the game is a kind of deck building card game. If you're interested, you can take a look at just this 37-second video that was passed in, and you can see that a lot of its claims are accurate. Just imagine the applications that are now possible now that we have a language model that can take in and understand things that are being said or shown. It totally changes the game. And in a power move, Google released a free tier for this model, including API requests at a certain rate limit that you could use for free, in addition to their pay-as-you-go tier. This is a very compelling offering. I expect many people to adopt Gemini as a result, and definitely can see it being integrated into a platform like Salt. And not to be outdone, in typical Mistral fashion, they went and released a new model via torrent link tweeted out by their account. For those of you that don't know, Mistral is a French machine learning company that has created some of the most powerful open source language models available. And when they make their releases, they just tweet out a link and let everybody else start diving in. No big blog posts showcasing all the capabilities. The community takes it and runs with it because they release them truly open source. You can use them for commercial purposes or anything else. OpenAI didn't want to be left out. They released a majorly improved GPT-4 Turbo model on their end. What does majorly improved mean? We're not sure yet, but you can bet people are about to find out. It includes GPT-4 Turbo with vision, so their understanding of images is now much more accessible, which shows that these large language models are moving into a multimodal future, being able to understand images, videos, audio, and more. For an understanding of what their pricing looks like, you can output 1 million tokens for $60. For context, when you hear a token, you can assume about a word, and 1 million words is about the length of the entire Harry Potter series. That's a lot of words for $60. Cohere also had a new release on their side with Command R+, a scalable language model built for business. Again, it is a RAG optimized or retrieval augmented generation optimized model designed to make sure that it can use your data and your information or information relevant to you as part of its retrieval process, ensuring it's more factually accurate. It has a large token context window, which means, again, you can put about 130,000 words as input to this model and have it generate an output with all of that in mind. It is multimodal, and it focuses on tool use, which we know is really important for creating AI agents. They have started to benchmark it here, comparing their R+ model with GPT-4 Turbo and Mistral, but we'll get in a little bit more about what these benchmarks really mean in just a second. Agents and tools are clearly very much on the mind of these large language model companies, as Anthropic also released tool use now available for their customers using Claude, their language model. If this is a lot to digest, you're not the only one. Simon Willison, one of the co-founders of Django, a very popular web framework, wrote about how there were 3 major language model releases in 24 hours. He talked about Google Gemini Pro and their free tier, OpenAI's majorly improved model that was released 40 minutes later, and then later in the day, Mistral releasing their largest model to date, which we haven't seen too many people test yet. One thing he also mentions is Cohere's Command R+, which I just covered, and how it has reached a new position on the chatbot arena leaderboard. What does that mean? Well, one of the biggest questions with these large language models is, how do we know which one is good, which one's best for my purposes? Those evaluation frameworks tend to be very contentious because some models may have seen some of them in training and so obviously perform better. Recently, one major way people have been comparing these large language models is with the language model arena. And you can see that this arena's leaderboard was recently changed just a couple days ago, and we could see that Cohere's Command R model outperforms some versions of GPT-4 and Claude, while Claude's Opus and some of the other GPT models still are at the top of this leaderboard. The way this leaderboard works is by pinning two models against each other and relying on people, humans, to pick which one they think is better. So you can see this leaderboard here that I was just talking about, and their battle looks a little bit like this, where you can put in a prompt, for example, what were the key aspects that enabled MySpace's success? And it will automatically go find two different language models to pass that request into. You can look at each one's results and decide which one you think is better by voting right below. These votes are then tallied, and that's what you see on their leaderboard. I'm sure these evaluation frameworks are going to mature, but I'm encouraged to see that one of the major ways of benchmarking it is still reliant on humans in the loop and how good we think those are. Related to how good are these language models, one paper that's becoming more popular again this past week is more agents is all you need. Big takeaway for this paper is that the accuracy of these models drastically improves by just giving it more chances. So if you ask a model a single question, you can see the accuracy here. But if you add more and more models and then take all of their responses and vote on the best one, the accuracy drastically improves and continues to improve with the more agents you add. This adds credibility to the fact that compute may become a very valuable resource, because if you just throw more requests at the model, their results get better and better. Profound to think about. Another paper in the news this week actually comes from Apple, a historically secretive company that's been publishing more and more research because it's tough to get machine learning researchers on your team if you're not publishing. Their paper is on Ferret-UI, trying to use multimodal language models to understand different components within a user interface. In this figure, you can see some of the things this model can do, from classifying the type of UI in a certain point, where the launch icon is, describing the screen in detail, whether the app is something that can be consumed by a 15-year-old, and more. You could envision a future where if Siri starts to have these capabilities of understanding different apps, that you may suddenly have an assistant that can power your whole phone and do so much more than just create a reminder. I'm excited for Apple's upcoming conference in June, where rumors are we're going to see an updated version of Siri. Shifting gears a little bit towards generative AI, people are starting to say that audio is having its moment to shine. Stability AI released Stable Audio 2.0. They took a slightly different approach, and instead of scraping a whole bunch of data, trained exclusively on a licensed data set from an Audio Sparks music library. You can hear some of the results here, and they show that you can generate up to 3 minutes of audio with a single prompt. Not only can it generate full 3-minute long songs, but it can also take in audio, empowering creators to actually almost use it as a filter. There were some really cool examples of this. For example, this example by DadaBots, who took beatboxing and passed it through Stable Audio to get a whole band-like sound. Or Jonathan Whitaker, that was banging on a simple string with pens and was able to turn it into a bass using Stable Audio. Now, it's not all roses As a result of that licensing agreement and other things within Stability AI, this is not a model that they are releasing for free to the public. In fact, you have to pay a monthly subscription. But if you do, you have rights to using the output commercially. May be useful for you. Another tool that has really picked up steam this week is Udio, where you can make full songs with lyrics directly in your browser, also with a single prompt. You can see Charlie's been busy here making some songs. Like this classic, "You Spilt a Coffee on My Dog." Udio is capitalizing on a lot of the excitement that was starting to develop with Suno, another tool that allows you to create songs with a single prompt. Like the trending, "I only ate 3 cheeseburgers." But this brings up a really interesting discussion of how can these tools work with creators? Is the best option really to just put in text and get something complete out? Or how do we bring the creators with us in that journey and keep them in the loop, kind of like Stable Audio's audio to audio feature? I'd be interested to hear what you think. Please follow up in a comment if you have some opinions on this. Now, in our home stretch, we're going to cover some Comfy updates. This week, a new Steerable Motion 1.3 was released, where you can use images to guide your output. So you can see that each of these images are being shifted to in turn in this single video. It's not perfect, but you can see that this is another way for artists to have control over their output and not leave it all up to AI. There was also a new release by Mateo, a very well-known developer within Comfy, this week, combining his style and composition adapters. You can see here that Mateo takes the composition from a photo of Mona Lisa and the style from a photo of Van Gogh and is able to bring them together in a really unique way. Again, control, 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 really key to those people who are experimenting on the cutting edge. Lastly, a few other releases that are pushing Comfy in a totally different direction. We had a big release from Woz on our team, enabling Whisper, the voice-to-text tool, to work in ComfyUI. In this example, Woz was able to take a children's video and turn it into a transcript that, with a little bit of post-processing, can turn into a time-stamped transcript of the quotes and the things said in that video. A really powerful building block in the world of multimodal language models. And finally, a release by Artemy and the ML team on Salt, creating a multi-subject workflow that enables you to take the faces from multiple people and compose them into one stunning photo. Just in line with that theme of control that we're talking about. It is so exciting to see the pace of AI's development continue to ratchet up. It is hard to keep up with, but man, are there incredible things being put out week in and week out. I'm excited to continue this journey into the world of AI with you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.